Well, hello everybody. It's good to see everyone online. It's good to see everybody here that has made it. We don't have a whole lot on the agenda today, but we will talk about a few things and try to get everybody out of here at a decent time this time. We'll call to order the meeting. We have the agenda that everybody has been provided for today's meeting. Does anybody have any corrections for the the agenda? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
Second, third, fourth.
We have a very quick motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Approval of the minutes for August 7th District Advisory Board meeting. We have, that was provided to everybody. Any additions or corrections or a motion? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. We have staff reports this month. We have quite a few people here, thank goodness. Wichita Fire Department, come on up.
Howdy, I'm firefighter Gifford with Wichita Fire Department. I'll kind of run through some of the numbers for this last month. For District 3, we had 37 fire alarms, 57 service alarms, and 611 medical alarms. In August, the fire investigative units had 2 structure fires, did some damage. An electrical malfunction with an AC cost $40,000 worth of damage at a house fire, and we had a shed fire that spread to a duplex and caused $2,000 for here in District 3. Citywide. Sorry.
No. Listen to the radio, please.
We had a total of 11 incidents in August. 3 of those were accidental, 2 were incendiary, 1's undetermined, and 2.5 are still under investigation. Kind of the big ones you've heard about, we had a building fire at a restaurant down here, and then you had one downtown that caused quite a bit of damage. Totals on that were $1.7 million in damage. It's been kind of a busy month for us. No, we did. You guys may have heard on the news. We sent three people down to Florida to help with Hurricane Dorian. Our dog guy, and then our big command van to help with organizing everything, working with.
Very good. Any questions?
What was the deal at South High?
South High?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a trash fire?
2 of them or 1 of them?
I wasn't on our shift. I can find out for you guys though. It sounds like it was a couple trash cans on fire.
No, 7 trash can on fire.
Well, there's 2 fires down there. The boys had one there back in 2. It was reported to me. And they arrested 1 girl.
The only one I heard about was
Younger.
they put it out there.
And they're juvenile, that we have our guys go out
Yeah.
and investigative guys go talk to them.
I just think if we got a young man that's sitting in the same car, we need to counsel him a little bit.
Yeah.
Bring him over to the woodshed and I'll talk to him.
So, ye old woodshed. Okay. Anybody else have
I
any?
just want to say thank you all and kudos to you, because I had an incident with a neighbor that had hauled in a lot of brush, a huge amount of brush, like across from one side of the acre to the other side of the acre, and had set it ablaze. And I called the fire department. They came out, they put it out. Then he went and filed for a permit and was going to set this all on fire. It's about, I don't know, 10 feet from my property line. You all came out, handled the situation. So I really appreciate that, because he's known for repeatedly starting fires that are close to my house. And you know, and in the past, I've kind of felt like my hands were some of those times. It was handled so well, so I just want you all to know, I so appreciate that, because, you know, it concerns me the danger that he puts houses around in the neighborhood.
Well, just so you know, he can't be starting fires if it's that close to the house. It's gotta be exactly.
Well, I'm trying to tell him that, but
Yeah.
he can do whatever he
Just
wants.
call us out. We'll take care of it.
Thank you, but thank you. You
Yeah.
handled it well.
So at this time of year, can we get burn permits?
I'm sorry?
At this time of year, can we get burn permits?
You know, I don't know whether a burn ban, but I mean, I don't think you can here in the city, city limits.
Thank you.
And then in April, there's always, April's a burn ban month just because of
Yeah, because of
everything else. Yeah.
Automatic.
All right. Any other questions? Anybody from the community have any questions for our firefighter? No? Thank you, sir. Appreciate your information. Take care. Be safe. All right. Come on up, Officer Christman. If I could ask you to state your name for the record, please.
Chris Crispin, I'm the
Thanks.
22B coordinator.
That's great. Thank you, sir.
As far as stats go, ASLs were down quite a bit, about 14. Aggravated burglaries were exactly the same. Auto thefts were down by 2. Non-residential burglaries were down 1. Residential burglaries were down 6, and larceny from auto were actually down by 9 from the previous month. And I grabbed those stats since we kind of do it every other month. I just grabbed the 2 months ago and then last month's. How I did those. We are working, doing some larceny from auto and some auto theft assignments throughout the Patrol South area. I also brought some of our Operation Safecation flyers. You may have seen these popped out from the BIO. Essentially, whatever firearm you have, just legally take a couple of casings, put it in there with the make serial number and model, and you can submit those to really any one of us can take those. They go into a database in the event that your firearm is stolen. To tell you the truth, if it were me, I would get the casings, put it in the envelope, and then if they were stolen, then present it to the officer. And I think either way would be just as good. Yes, sir. So you obviously have to have a match with it. So let's say your firearm is stolen and it was shooting somewhere else and shell casings were not seen. You can take your own shell casing from your gun and match it with the shell casing that was covered on. So it's very similar to DNA or fingerprints. It's just another database for us. Well, each gun, it's a unique signature on the piece of brass. That's
Can I have one of those? Can I have one of those?
yes.
I need to create awareness about that. I need to create awareness.
Anyone else?
I got a neighborhood association.
All right.
Okay, guys.
One left.
Okay.
We also have at Patrol South.
Okay, so we can have anybody. Matter of fact, one of either Maddie or I might drop in and grab some so we can make sure that the whole district advice report
Right.
gets one. So
Basically, the concept behind the program.
yeah, come on up.
I'm sorry, I don't want to introduce myself. I apologize, I wasn't at the last meeting, but I'm Lieutenant Drew Silas. I'm now the community policing lieutenant here at Patrol South. So I'm in charge of all the South Side community policing, Broadway Corridor, the homeless outreach team, and then second shift. I'm not a stranger to the area. I spent a pretty good chunk of my career at Patrol South, basically from 2001 to about 2009. So I'm very familiar with the area. I do have a passion for the area down here. I do have family that reside in this bureau that I do check on frequently. So it is home for me. So coming back home, it's been kind of nice. We've got a lot of projects going on. This Operation Save a Casing, the theory behind it is that the majority of the firearms that are stolen from vehicles basically vehicles left unlocked or people just leaving their unsecured firearms in a vehicle is not a good idea, even if it's in your driveway. So the idea behind the program is because most of these guns will turn back up in a drive-by, an assault case, and we will have that gun then. And what we will do is we will test fire that gun, and each gun leaves a unique marking on that casing. And then if you bring in that casing, we're able to quickly match those up, all right, and help us with the recovery of those guns. Oftentimes people don't write down their serial numbers and don't provide those to us readily. Also, we have an issue with people filing off a serial number, which is also against the law. So it's hard to make those matches sometimes in those cases. So that's the theory behind it.
Very good. Is it electronic online? Do you have that flyer online electronically?
Yes, it is electronic. There's also a public service announcement that went out by Charlie Davidson.
Okay.
So that you should see that hit most of the media outlets.
Okay.
So don't be surprised if you see it on TV. But we also have electronic, we can send it to you.
Okay. That'd be great. Send it to Maddie, and she'll make sure the whole district advisory board gets them, so they can even print them out on their own and give them to the community. All right. Anybody? Yeah.
Well, I know it's a really weird question, but I know there was a deal about Officer Josh Hill mowing the lady's yard.
Josh
Lewis.
Huh?
Yes.
Lewis.
Josh
Yeah.
Lewis, I'm sorry, excuse me, Lewis, yeah, you're right. Well, that was one of my son's frat brothers, and I tried to find the thing to send it to my son, and it's not on the city website anywhere, or.
Kansas.com or KSN.
Kansas.com.
KSN did the story.
Was it KSN? I thought I saw it on channels, but I'll do some more. There's no link to it on the Wichita.gov PD site anywhere, you don't think?
It would be on the Facebook page.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
A little article's gonna run in the newsletter on Friday about it,
Okay, fine.
if Officer Lewis is comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened?
He,
One of the officers saw some old lady out mowing her yard. She got her auction on and everything, and he stopped and mowed her yard for her. He's a good kid. My son went to college with him. Yeah, a good kid, I'm sorry.
Good question about South Iowa. I can give you a quick update on that. There was an arrest made on that. They are treating it as an arson case because it was a fire generated in the school because there were people present. They're treating it as an aggravated arson. So that case is being handled through the fire investigators. But there was an arrest made on that, and I'm sure there's going to be pending issues with
I
that.
heard from one of the kids down there, there's one, the men's bathroom or also at the same time, and they got it put out themselves before you guys, before the fire department showed up.
All this information was provided to us through the
Okay,
school, through the SRO.
okay,
And they were able to pull up the video, so that's how we're able
Yeah.
to identify.
Okay, I just didn't want to fire bugging the school.
I don't blame
Question for you.
Sure.
It's southeast, south of Pawnee, around the Washington area and back west. Is crime going up over in that area?
southeast by Washington.
Right here.
Basically,
Pawnee and
Washington,
Washington, across the railroad tracks, that area, the loop down in there, it seems like I've been hearing a lot of things happening.
There is an uptick in property crimes over there. When I say by property crimes, we're talking probably auto thefts and larceny of autos. So we have a big plan, we're able to partner. I'm kind of putting the cart ahead of the horse, and I'm gonna lecture a little bit on what's gonna happen. If you receive a city water bill, you might receive an informational advisory from the police department on that. And give you an option to go to a link, and then that link, you'll be able to get more information, but it's basically gonna be helpful tips on how to cut yourself and not cut yourself of an auto larceny or a stolen vehicle. Yes, there is an uptick in auto theft.
I had a rental property over there on Mosley, 2500 block. They said it's been broke into 3 times, but they never called the police, and it was 3 times, so. I said, well, that's a mistake issue, one. Yeah.
Have them contact us, because really, for us to track and identify crime trends, we need cases made, or at least calls to 911. And then that's kind of how we build our assignments or build our manpower around that problem is through those means of tracking. Another good question, thank you.
Jared?
Have you guys seen, I just saw this today, actually, have you seen this meme that's going around apparently all across the country on Facebook, criticizing our hot team?
Yeah, I don't, who's that one through?
It's just a Facebook page called Homeless Teacher.
I'm not sure. But basically, I'll tell you right now, our hot crew,
But there's a ton of comments on it, of people, who don't know the whole story.
our homeless
Criticizing.
outreach team is recognized nationally
Yeah.
for the type of outreach that we do. You're gonna be hard pressed to find any other department in the Midwest, with the exception of a few in Colorado, who we modeled our program after. And Councilman Linden and myself went to a meeting today dealing with specific issues around homelessness and specifically criminalizing homelessness. And our intention as a police department is never to criminalize
And that's
homelessness.
basically what this thing is saying.
I
Poverty is
understand.
not a crime, police officers shouldn't be dealing with this.
So some background. We had a great meeting today. It was really a good meeting. It was very frank and it was a good discussion. But there was a Facebook post, which I think was a little over the top, maybe.
Misleading.
But somebody in our community had a concern about some things that they perceived were going on, and that post I think is gaining some traction nationally. And actually the hot team wasn't even involved in the complaints. They love our hot team, the people that made the post. So, it's just today was about communication. I think we had some good communication today, and I think we're working some stuff out. So
Well, we're very fortunate. We got council that's very involved with this matter. The chief is very involved with this. The homeless outreach team is very involved.
Yeah.
What we have is a societal issue in dealing with homelessness. And then basically, how are we going to provide care for these individuals? And, sometimes homelessness is a matter of circumstance or a chain of events that lead to it. Sometimes it's a choice. All right, and there's nothing illegal against that. But we as a police department, we also have obligations to the taxpayer, and that taxpayer expects us to hold people accountable to the law. And so what we do is we hold everybody accountable to the law, and we don't pick and choose who we do that to. And what we had was we were having some serious issues with non-person crimes occurring down there in our core area, and we've stepped up enforcement there. Basically, actually, we didn't step it up, we brought it back from what they were reassigned over the summer to another task. And we brought them back, and since then, the appearance is that we have stepped up enforcement, and actually, we're just doing the same thing that we always have, just we weren't visible the first part of the summer.
Yep.
So we got that going on, plus a lot of outreach. And what I really liked out of our meeting today, I think we built another park.
Yeah.
And that's going to be helpful.
it is. Glad you brought that up. Yeah, Dave?
What I would hope is that we never allow a situation like what's going on in California.
Oh, my God.
Los Angeles and that.
Seattle.
To ever get started here. It was also a compliment to you and the police department for getting out there and helping them eradicate this problem.
You're welcome. What we're trying to do is just work with everybody.
Yeah, if you had to, where is the concentration of homelessness? Is it Fort City?
Where are you going to see a concentration of homelessness? You're going to see a concentration of the services that are provided.
All right.
So you're looking at mental health services, you're looking at, a lot of outreach on door to door, you're looking for shelter, and then obviously you got your medical side. So shelter, food, and medical. Basically the three things we need to sustain. And that's where you're gonna see a lot of those concentrations is around those facilities.
Thank you.
The issue that we're running into right now is we're trying to find a way to work together, everybody. Because right now, on the surface, it appears that we're all trying to accomplish the same task, but we're not working together. So everybody kind of wants to do it their own way. And once we get that ironed out, I think we're going to be in a good place.
And I think there was a great step today. It was a really great step today.
When you guys have these meetings, set up boards and stuff, is it ever a homeless person invited to attend to give input?
Had that discussion today, actually. At this meeting, no, because it was about the providers for and the homeless and the police working together to kind of correct the situation. But honestly, I think everybody is on board that there's going to be either a homeless task force and homelessness task force today to put together. And today the suggestion was made that, yeah, we need to make sure that we have somebody from the homeless community too. Yeah, so that is absolutely. Who are our friends back in the back? Come up front, guys. Front and center.
I'm Officer Chad Clark, 36 beat coordinator. This is my partner, Officer Shelton. He's 399 beat coordinator. We both operate out of the Patrol Police Bureau.
Very good.
This evening, the one thing we'd like to talk about, obviously, the ongoing theme is theft around town, unfortunately. We are happy to let you guys know that at least in the West Bureau did it also, the East Bureau, myself and Officer Shelton, along with a couple additional officers, have been put on assignment, what we're calling a theft reduction unit. And we're using direct enforcement in certain areas. Within the past month, we've been doing it for a month now. We're at 70 arrests.
Wow.
For various different crimes. So our hope is to reduce the amount of larceny to auto theft, and then also burglaries. And then return, if we can reduce that, that will also reduce the financial crime that we're dealing with the stolen credit cards that all of our retail businesses are really dealing with. A couple years ago, Officer Shelton and I did run something real close to this, just the two of us. And we did see, we ran it for just over a year, had 250 arrests between the two of us in the year's time. And we did see a decline in the theft in the Patrol Police Bureau. We've already seen a slight decline in the reports in the past month since we started this up. But obviously, we're going to have to continue with this long term. To see real numbers, to see if we're going to have an impact like we're hoping for. So we've recovered stolen vehicles. I believe we recovered 4 firearms, several other aggravated weapons charges. The list is long. Narcotics, and then of course some seizing some money, some U.S. currency. So
we still have an issue, obviously, with the car break-ins with the firearms. However, we need a little bit of help from the public to make those numbers go down, obviously. And the education on that, obviously, is going to continue. Hopefully, we get people listening to us to lock their vehicles and their guns. And that's going to be, ongoing throughout the rest of the summer. And obviously, when the wintertime comes, all these numbers will probably go down a little bit. But we're still hoping we keep the citizens and their firearms and their vehicles under control. So we can get a handle on that, obviously.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Not related to what you're talking about, what you're doing sounds good, but I've noticed on the radio, whenever I see a lot of patrol cars driving around the city, there seems to be 2 policemen in each patrol car, where a few months back or a year or so, it was just a single. Do you have more, you got people training or?
Well, we do have several 2-officer units. Usually when we're operating in a special unit capacity, we like to pair up for officer safety reasons.
Especially where you live. I'm not saying that's not a bad thing, but I know where you live, the area that you live in, and we have a lot of stuff going on in your area. We have a lot of people training on each side too, so we've seen a lot of new recruit
Right.
officers riding around, so that's probably the uptick that you're seeing.
So, So you're breaking in the new recruits with the trouble guys.
Yeah.
The troublemakers.
They're surveilling there.
I wasn't even gonna bring up the golf course thing, because I know that's gonna get you all fired up.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Is there some way, and I don't know how you did it or whatever, James can, but, part of the problem, people, when they see something mysterious going on, they wanna call it in, but then, well, what are they wearing? What this? It's just like when a car
20
is
questions.
up on the shoulder of the road,
Right.
and it just happened. I don't know nothing about the car, I'm telling them where the car is at. Well, what color car? Okay, I understand that. How long's it been there? I don't know.
Well, there's reasons behind that, obviously.
I understand.
I know it's frustrating, but every little bit of information helps us.
And sometimes we don't feel like we get enough information from dispatch. I'm sure they're doing their job just fine, but there's times that we're like, okay, can we get a little bit more? Depending on how detailed the information is, dictates what steps we can take.
Right.
Okay, if we're talking about suspicious character and there's a couple people walking in the neighborhood, but there's only one that's getting called in on, okay, in order to actually stop, we like to have as much detail so we can stop the right individual that's either looking in car windows or whatever it is they're getting called in on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I called in on a kid at 5 o'clock in the morning, cutting up in the houses and back out. Well, I circled around the block 2 or 3 times, checking on him. Well, I called 911. Apparently, he ran home and called 911.
On you?
Yeah, and a beat officer showed up, and I talked to her, but I told her what I saw, it just didn't look right, and had it gone up to the house.
So he gave a better description of you than you did of him.
No, I fired her down. Then she told me, she said, his mom's on the phone, and I said, well, what's a 15-year-old kid at 5 o'clock in the morning, walking up by houses? If he'd been out in the street, I wouldn't pay him no mind at all.
It's just your paper boy.
But I
Remember those?
always, when I was going to work at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I would write tag numbers down on cars that didn't belong in the area. And long story short, I come home one night, I said, hey, gal down the road got her house broke into. So I give them that.
Those numbers come in handy.
That
Absolutely.
number, and it was.
That gives us something to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was him.
Yes.
So I have just maybe a question, maybe a recommendation. Is there any way that potentially in the future, there might be a way to submit a stolen property report online, or at least get access to a form that you can turn in? Because the night after I reported my neighbor starting a fire, a $4,000 piece of equipment we had sitting behind a trailer and disappeared. And I need to report that as stolen, but I just thought, I don't want to have officers come out and everything, can I just go fill out a report? And I dug all through looking for some way to file a report. And I thought, well, surely in this day and age for things like that, we could just go online and give this, I've got the serial number, the description, all that, and I can just submit that and say, here it is, so at least it's in your system.
You can always put it on Facebook, stolen cars of Wichita.
Right now, they
Well, they
have an app
exist.
right now that you can download. If you go to the App Store, department, there is an app on here that you can use to receive notifications that we put out, especially like missing persons. You'll see a lot of silver alerts on there.
Yes.
Because we can't activate Amber for adults. So you'll see a lot of silver alerts that we use on that as well. But the intention is that's going to be a way that we're going to be able to electronically file reports or allow the community to do this. Right now, we have what is called Case Desk, and it's a phone number that you can use, and that's 268-4221. So if you don't feel like you need a police officer out here to make a report, you're more than willing, or more than capable just to call that number there, and the ladies will take your information over the phone and create a case number for you. Now, if they feel that the situation deems that an officer comes out, they will let you know.
And then what they will do is notify 911 and have an officer sent out.
It's kind of ugly when the purple is right next door and they send a uniformed officer out. Two and two go together
The advantage
quickly.
of calling that number, if you wake up and your car is missing from your driveway,
Right.
your trailer or motorcycle, the advantage of calling that number is when you call that number, they punch that information directly into the system.
Right.
And it gets broadcasted out through the entire city,
Sure.
probably an hour faster than it would as you calling an officer out
Oh, yeah.
and going through all that. So,
And then second to that, if in fact you do have photographs of the equipment that was stolen, the detectives they should reach out to you or give it a little bit of time to reach out to them. And that way, that piece of, the photo can be sent out to all of our computers, so we'll know what to look for.
Okay.
All right?
I got a 10-year-old picture that's stupid too.
Dave,
He was stolen 10 years ago.
Officer, now, you're specializing in credit cards. Is there anything, any kind of special information you should add? Are you dealing with stolen credit cards?
Yeah, we're not, yeah. I don't really have any particular information on credit cards. So what we have found a lot of times when people are breaking into vehicles, the first thing they're looking for is firearms. We have obviously a problem in this city with people leaving firearms in their vehicles, whether the vehicle is locked or unlocked. We have people out there that we've interviewed that says their sole purpose is to find a firearm in the vehicle. You can imagine if you find one in one night, that's a pretty good night for them anyway. It's bad for everybody else.
Yeah.
But what we find is they're looking for credit cards. They're looking for something that they can turn around and use quickly before the victim can get a hold of their bank and put a stop to it. So the first thing, obviously, you need to get a police report if, in fact, your credit cards get stolen, your wallet, purse, whatever. But the next thing is you have to get a hold of your banks and put a stop on that immediately, because as soon as they get the credit cards, the suspects get their hands on their credit cards, they're going to different businesses and use them. And it doesn't matter if it's 3 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That is what they're doing, and they're purchasing things off of and until the report is stolen. Now, what we do is a case will then be generated by that stolen credit card being used at a local business. We will contact that business and look for surveillance on maybe that register, and we'll have the time and date and the credit card number. We'll be able to see who used it. Then it's up to us to try to identify the person in that photo, and then we can modify the report, have a suspect, and then we can actually go after them. And we've been successful at doing that also.
Now, what kind of a charge do you place against somebody doing that? Somebody using a stolen credit card?
It's unlawful use of a financial card is what it is.
and there'll be a theft charge eventually, so potentially, depending on the evidence and what we have. But the bottom line is, if they steal your credit card from your car at 2 in the morning, by the time you wake up, there's gonna be thousands of dollars gone off that bank. So just don't leave your wallet or purse in your car, period.
great.
And they'll be charged with theft or
Wire fraud.
what kind of a
Yes.
felony?
Well, it could be a couple. It just depends. Yeah.
Thanks.
Get a lot of road calls now, and they're asking for credit card numbers off the phone. I won't give them any. And my wife got her stuff first, so she won't get out her credit card number. I think that's the next big thing.
Well, it's been going on a long time.
Yeah, well, yeah. But,
You should never be giving your credit card number to the phone to anybody.
yeah, I understand that. They said this from one of the organizations she belongs to. Comes turning out that $6 donation costs you $600.
Right.
A couple more zeros in there.
Yes, and unfortunately, a lot of people become victims of that before they realize the significance of, or that they just should
credit
put
card
their
away.
credit card out.
That didn't go very well either.
Okay, anybody else up here? Anybody from the public have any questions? All right. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it very much. Thanks for being here, Lieutenant. Appreciate it. All right. We have no scheduled items on the public agenda, no off agenda items, no new.
To adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
Not quite yet.
I will not accept that. Yeah. Well,
I like the off agenda.
yeah, you bet. Hold on just a sec. We'll get you here at the end. I'll move you. Yeah, I know it's here, but. And okay, so on the public agenda, no scheduled items. On the public agenda, on the off agenda items, it looks like we do have one person. You will have 3 minutes.
If you just pass it.
Talk fast, Jared wants to go home.
I was.
Dan Warren, 601 North Doris. I'm not in James's district. He knows my issue. I've got two pictures here. One has a red tab, shows a school bus stop. The city's using transit buses. They're long, they're low, they're heavy on dirt streets. On this particular street, we already know produces hazardous levels of PM10. But my understanding is that the Board of Education is somehow paying for the transit buses to be used. That's my understanding.
Yes.
I thought maybe there was some federal tax dollars, but that's not the case.
City.
Now, if they're going to run them on dirt streets, especially this particular street, it should be treated. But if you look at these pictures, you'll see the bus stop sign. By the time you see the next one, the kids are covered in dust if they were there. And there's no reason in a city this size we should be treating our children this way. We have the capacity to treat these streets, to hold that down, especially at these bus stops. These things are low and heavy, and plumes are 50, 60 foot high in the air. And this particular street gets 2 buses every 45 minutes, which is ridiculous to be running on a dirt street. I'm not here to say that they picked the wrong route or anything like that. If they're going to do it, they should keep the dust in.
A little bit of a correction. I don't believe the city of the school district's paying the city of Wichita. The parents buy like a $20 voucher per month.
Yep, that's what they said.
This
259, paying more.
I think the district is.
It's
really
School board, not
okay. School board.
school board.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
sorry.
All right.
I misquoted myself.
All right. There
It's free
you
for
go.
students.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally free. Anybody can ride.
They get a
School
card.
board pays
Yes.
for the
Subsidized
buses.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I
Did you
misquoted.
mention where that is, what streets they are?
That is actually the 400 block of North Doris.
What?
Doris,
400 block of North
it's out by
Doris.
Patrol West. It's out by Patrol West.
It's right behind.
North
you.
of Central.
Pretty general area, I saw it.
Okay, north of Central,
North of Central.
all those streets are alphabetical. Anna, Beebe, Clara, Doris,
It's actually,
Elder, the substations at Elder and Flora.
it's actually south of Central. If you go to
Oh, yeah,
Town
sorry.
Square, hang a right on Doris.
Right.
You go down.
Yeah, I misspoke. It's 600 north of Central
Like
Living.
your streets get
Near
almost 400.
235.
Yes,
Yeah.
near 235. Yeah.
Well, my question would be, have your neighbors ever petitioned to have the street paved?
There's probably been almost 30 petitions failed. It's not because people they don't have the money. It's one of those neighborhoods.
That's what they say.
I'm not gonna hate my neighbor because I won't sign a paving petition, but I'm not gonna stand by and watch these kids.
I understand. I'm not, but you answered my question.
Any other
What do you
questions?
think can be done about it?
They can treat it with calcium, or right now they're using magnesium fluoride around 22 schools in the city of Wichita, which James is a part of that, seeing that happen, and especially District 4. And it's a program that can be easily expanded. We're spending $10 million a year to preserve pavement and less than $100,000 a year to preserve the health of these children on these streets. I think we can do better than that.
Fisher?
I feel your pain, brother. I called the bus company this morning, the school for a student, and 2 buses down dirt road, 35, 40 mile an hour. If a car would have been going, there'd been a collision. But I do about 10 mile an hour down my dirt road. So I figure it's 2 blocks either way I go where I'm at, 3 blocks most. You can hold it down, you can hold the dust levels down, and it's not the students I'm worried about. Down in my area, we have old people on oxygen, they can't breathe, and here's this big old dust cloud following the school bus.
The young and the frail are absolutely this is the worst on it. And I'm not gonna go into the, it's a known pollutant, the PM10 that these streets are producing. This particular street we know is hazard levels. We've hired engineers professional engineers to do some work for us.
Call the bus, Karen, they keep calling.
And to your point, I wanna say to your point, 4 years ago, KDHE recommended to the city of Wichita, they can lower the speed limits on their streets to 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Public Works has done virtually nothing but fight me on this, to the point where they have misled this man and every man on the council and woman on the council.
Yeah.
And I can prove that.
Well, I feel your pain with the dirt roads.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, on the 18th of this month is the transportation board meeting, and it's an advisory board. I know it's during 10 o'clock in the morning, so it's during some people's work hours. But if you thought about making some kind of presentation and see if they would start from that end.
I'll talk to anybody.
If you show up, it's down off of Waterman, and you have to sign, you want to make it.
Transportation?
Yeah.
Down under 54, where the bus barn is?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
I was just going to let you know.
Is that a city council advisory board or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, transit.
For transit.
Yeah, transit
We don't
advisory.
have a lot of power, but we're talking about it.
I know Alan Bogue used to be on it.
Well, Dave Robbins used to be on that board too.
Right, one question you might ask them is, what's their filter cost gone up since it's been running on these?
Yeah, no kidding.
No kidding.
And the shocks and everything.
And they're getting 4 electric buses, so they got electric buses over there. But anyway,
We'll see.
the next meeting.
We'll see. All right. Go ahead.
Is not the state statutory speed limit on residential streets already 20 miles an hour?
30.
30.
Is it 30 really? Guess I better go back and take my driver's test again.
Unless otherwise posted. Go ahead, Dave.
Now, when I was on the board, one of the big things that they were trying to do is get the better utilization of buses. And hopefully, children riding these buses, they'll learn to use mass transit more. So this is a way, kind of an outreach program between transit and the USD 259s to get the students on the bus. It's unfortunate they're on these dirt roads. I would hope most of them are on paved streets, but
Well, obviously,
I think that's one of the benefits is finally getting that cooperation between USD 259 and the city on using mass transit.
so what I've worked on, and it's been tough to get done, and I'm still working on it. I still bring it up every so often because we have plenty of dirt streets south and in the south central area as well. You know, lowering the I don't want to say standards, but lowering the requirements for curb and gutter on some of these paved streets and allowing us to put a mat down. It would cost about a third of the cost of a just an asphalt mat.
Cap.
But you with a proper prep of the base, right? But it would cost about a third of the cost of doing the curb and gutter and everything. You already have your ditches there. You probably would have to expand the drainage. That was kind of the biggest issue, is allowing drainage, because now your dirt street's not taking in it's now impervious, right? And so, so you know, there would be some upgrades to some of the culverts and the ditches, but you know, I've tried to get that done. We're working still to figure out a solution, but I would like to see. We have that in other parts of the city, especially Northwest. There's a lot of neighborhoods that have just asphalt mat streets. It works quite well there.
That's all we have.
Yeah, it is.
Our development was the last one in the city to do an asphalt cap.
Yeah,
That's one reason why all those lots out there is completely overgrown with weeds. They were sold at tax sale because the developer couldn't afford to put the millions in for curbs and gutters and elevation, drainage, yada, yada. And the guy that bought them thought he was going to be a developer and found out different. So now he's basically abandoned maintenance, and they're probably going to go to tax sales again.
Yeah, so
which leads to,
I would, that would be, to me, a permanent solution.
And I'd like to publicly thank you, James, because right from the get-go, you've been trying to say we don't need Cadillac streets
no,
in some of these neighborhoods.
Well, no, but
And you're absolutely right. And this
And Tim
is-
Skelton said the same thing.
Porous concrete now, and there are different options other than full-blown.
sure.
curb and gutter. It's really expensive. And the other thing I wanted to say, on this ridership with the students, I don't know if that goes toward a count of total ridership to get federal dollars.
Sure it does.
I'm gonna say
Absolutely.
probably.
The more people that ride and the more lane miles driven, the more money you get from the federal government to run your
What's the
operation.
nearest State Street? East
Central.
Well, this bus route used to be one street over on Elder. When they redid 235, they made one of the overpasses wider. They made the dog leg on Elder worse. And I think that's why the city buses don't want to try and negotiate that. I'm not saying they picked a bad street. It's a horrible street.
You talking the dog leg at Maple?
Yes.
Okay,
And, those long buses
Yeah.
especially trying now to get out and go west.
yeah,
It's pretty difficult for them to try to do that.
agreed.
Mr. Clinton,
Yeah.
if people put together a petition requesting streets, does the city force them to have curb and gutter?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they're,
If they
they're,
get 50%,
like I say, we were the last one allowed.
yeah, if you get 50% plus, then everybody,
50% of what?
there's two different,
Ownership.
well, there's two different ways to calculate it. And it would go by typically what it would do, it would be the percentage of home owners. So every home, maybe there's one or two homes, right, that are owned by the same person, that's considered one, and so it would go by the percentage of home owners. Sometimes it goes by property size and property address. So there's a couple of different ways it can be
How
calculated.
about feet of frontage?
So, you know what? One of the reasons why down south of 47th Street, between Hydraulic and the highway, the reason why those aren't, because a lot of those are acre plus lots, and the frontage on them is huge, or the side, and the benefit district, you can't draw it large enough to include enough houses, and it's extremely expensive. You could add $200-300 a month on somebody's house payment. So, Richard.
To give you an idea of cost, when,
Oh, there's what you need to do.
his guy before him, I can't think of his name right now, but, he put up a petition, originally we was gonna have asphalt, and then the city come back, you gotta have drainage, you gotta have this, you gotta have that, curb, gutter, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And this is at 45th and Lower area. The cost originally was around $7,500 to $8,500 to do blacktop rolling. With the understanding that within about 5 to 7 years, we'd have to have it coated again. Okay,
Does that make
live
sense?
with that. By the time the city got done, and what shot it down, because there were several of us that were going that way, but then when they resubmitted the petition with curb and gutter, what my $8,500 shot to over $32,000.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
This particular street it's 5 blocks, and the last petition was over $900,000. Yeah, maybe 5 blocks.
Yeah.
The drainage that they wanted to get.
Well, that's precisely
So
what
we're
this
still
was.
working on that, and hopefully we can come to some sort of agreement with the
And
engineering
they
staff.
go down there with road oil.
No, I can't do that
No.
anymore.
All right.
PCBs and stuff.
Thank you very much. Any more off agenda
I
items?
have one more question about this.
Okay.
They're picking up school kids in buses that don't have stop signs and all that stuff.
Well, you have the stop sign, you just can't. If you look at this first picture,
Just a regular city bus.
Here's the
No,
school
no,
bus,
yeah.
and here's the stop sign. Oh, no, oh, no.
No.
Okay, they're high school students.
The high school.
Oh, well, gosh, that makes it better. They can outrun the car going past the bus.
College kids ride one too.
yeah.
God.
WSU.
All right, so I'm gonna come out here to hopefully finish off the meeting. We have no more off-agenda items. On the new business, no scheduled items. Board agenda, I'll give you guys a chance now to ask me a couple of questions. Sounds like we might have a couple of questions about Platte Golf Course, which I'm happy to continue answering. Paul, go ahead first.
Well, first of all, the crappy little phone books, I'm sorry, the user-friendly phone books, I get it wrong every time.
Yeah, I got
They still have Platte Golf Course in the yellow pages. But I do want to thank Maddie and verbally abuse the Department of Tall Grass and Weeds as much as possible here. I'm sure you're familiar with what's going on.
Yeah, I've been following this.
Those lots down there around us that got, I just spoke about, has there been no mowing activity whatsoever this year? I tell Maddie about it, and then Tall Grass and Weeds sends the homeowners association a registered letter that I have to go down, stand in line and pick up, yada, yada. It just says vacant lot on the southeast corner of 63rd and Hydraulic. Well, the only lot there is dang near an acre. I leave a terse yet somewhat polite voicemail going, we went through this 2 years ago. Now, what is it that you think we're responsible for mowing? Because I've been mowing what I've been told we're responsible for every 2 weeks this year. We should not have a taller grass and weed thing there. And yet I get this malarkey in the mail. In their message when you answer the phone, by the way, there's no email address or anything on here. They say, I'll call you back within 2 days. This letter was posted 9/15, so I'm saying I got it by 9/17. That says on here. Made the phone call that day or the next. I still haven't got that 2-day phone call back yet.
So,
You said 9?
so
Excuse me, 8.
when I,
Didn't bring my glasses. Sorry, 8:15. Yes. So they haven't ever answered. In order to make sure everything was in compliance, Homeowners Association went down and spent $225 to rent a tractor and a bush hog to mow a lot that turns out not to be our responsibility. Maddie finally got somebody to come up with a picture of exactly what we're responsible for, which as far as I'm concerned, the Homeowners Association would like to abandon that property. We don't want it, but golf course doesn't want it.
What property are you talking
Out there where the sign is, it says Pine Bay Golf Course.
I thought that was Pine Bay property.
Well, no, it's a reserve for the Homeowners Association. And does it say Pine Bay Estates anywhere? Nope, it's all golf course. And the golf course wants nothing to do with it. So anyhow, it's just one of them things, but this has been incredibly lousy work by the city, but great work by Maddie. Thank you.
well, I will, yeah, Maddie is amazing,
Yeah.
first of all, but secondly,
Round of applause.
please, take it out. What I'll do through Maddie.
What I'll have Maddie do, I got it.
We'll talk to Chris Labrum. He is the director of MABCD, and I think maybe there's some corrections that need to be made on the form that you get, maybe an email address. Like
Should
you
never
said.
got the form.
Well, but if you get a form, see, I can't, there's gonna be a lot of forms that people are getting probably that they shouldn't get. Mistakes are made, miscommunications happen, so what I'd like is there to be some sort of communication ability through that form. So an email address, a phone number, somebody you can
Well,
call.
there's a phone number, but
And
it's
talk to
robo.
somebody.
No,
And talk to somebody.
nobody ever called back. Thank you.
Yeah, so we probably need to correct that.
Yeah.
Well, how many times they have their sign there if it's not their property? Their giant business sign is on there.
When the development was platted, the developer, like for instance, I mean, just a short lesson. I pay property tax to Center Fairway behind my house. It's a golf course reserve. And they made that little triangle out there part of a reserve that they've basically assigned responsibility for it to the Homeowners Association. You know, we have the responsibility of the beach down by the lake and yada, yada, yada. And we do all that. And it's not a problem, you know.
So I would make a suggestion, get an appraisal on the piece of property,
Uh-huh.
see what the zoning is, and see if there's some sort of business interest that can be placed on that property and sell it. The sign would have to be moved. and-
Well, the problem with that is all the other reserves that the homeowners associations have had assigned to it. Like the clubhouse has its own reserve.
Right across the street just went up for sale. The northeast
Yeah.
corner just went, I guarantee you, they're gonna get $1.5 million probably, and there's gonna be a strip mall there within their 2 years.
All I'm saying is just get rid of the property you don't want. Yes, sir.
What's a reserve?
It's when the developer, okay, go ahead.
No, he'll be able to.
When the
answer.
developer, all right.
Well, I'm gonna have to defer to Paul because Paul has a little bit more educated on. what
When the
the
developer
reserve is.
developed the property, they draw the lines for the lots, and they draw the lines for the reserves, just like where the golf course clubhouse is, it's a reserve. You know, they pay property tax and all that, but it basically means nobody can do anything with it because the golf course has authority for it. Just like the fairways and greens and all are part of the golf course reserve. We pay property tax to the center of the fairway behind our house, just like those lots over there that's overgrown with weeds. If there was someone there that were paying the tax, would be doing the same. You know, down by the beach and all, we have the homeowners association pays insurance and taxes on that and upkeep. So that's not a big deal. But that piece of property out there has become a thorn in everyone's side because it's all grass and weed issue. That's the second time, and I think 3 years they've done this.
We'll continue to work on it, Paul.
They just need to figure out who to send a notification to because the tall grass and weeds was not on our reserve.
And believe it or not, that is way more concise than I would have been able to give you.
Well, I've kind of been immersed in it. I am the one mowing it, yes.
Michael's got.
If you drive anywhere in the city right now, where the ladders on the streets, the grass is, you would be in violation at your home if you didn't cut it. And you can't sue the city or bring costs.
You cannot sue the city. So interesting. Some of those things are the city's responsibility. Sometimes they're not. It depends on who has ownership of that roadway. Sometimes it's the state roadway, sometimes it's the city. More likely it's the city limits. And it's not a highway, it's ours. We have, just in tall weeds and grass cases, every year, 500 plus pending. And we take our contractors and we utilize them in such a way to try to get those done and the mowing that needs to get done. And I mean, it's a pretty big chore, especially when people aren't taking care of their lawns. So absolutely, if you see a median that's higher than it should be, you can turn it in to me or Maddie, and we'll turn it in. And 2 or 3 years ago, the city bought its own lawn mowing equipment so it can go out and do some of those the contractors just weren't able to get to. So just let us know, because it's not acceptable. Just like it's not acceptable if somebody's lawn is out. It's just not.
Tell them how far behind the contractors are.
This year, I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, last year was 6 to 8 weeks.
They've only mowed that area behind, down by the levee from the wastewater treatment plant down toward Grove. They've only mowed that once this year. It's probably 6, 7 feet now.
But it's rained so much, you can't take equipment in without losing it.
Responsibility, Ron, or is that ours?
That's yours.
Yeah, that's yours.
Oh, it's sitting.
I'm trying to point it off on somebody else.
No, 55th, I mean, Hydraulic is south of 55th is where we stop. That's yours over there.
But I do gotta say, I've emailed, when I've gotten tired of it, I've emailed Ben Nelson. And just,
The only problem I had,
they've been out there within a week to get it, so.
Well, Public Works takes care of
the
that.
only problem I had with the ditches, Greg Gable, and some ladies going through mowers.
Well, let's not go there right now.
Greg Gable got mad at us because we mowed his son's grapevines down, which is on our side of the fence.
So we can't make homemade wine.
Riverside drainage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mow all that.
Did you want to do it again?
Michael, what's your questions about plat?
Is any of the facilities available for use? Like, if you want to go to the clubhouse, just use the patio behind.
Yeah.
And have a cookout and family over.
All you need to do, if you want to use any of the facilities, call. The clubhouse hasn't been open to the public at this point, but if that's a desire, I think we can do that. We were trying to limit use of the clubhouse until we had the master plan completed. But I think at this point, if the public wanted to meet there, or we could figure that out.
Yeah, because it'd be nice to have a bathroom. Yeah, a large group.
Sure,
Okay,
absolutely.
and of course, with Harry being worked on right now, it's a little difficult.
It is.
Now, this is strictly a personal observation. Sure. And just for my benefit. Next time you print these signs, let's put down the neighborhood association that they're representing it might help us figure out where in the hell you're talking about.
Yeah,
Because I don't know every street in the city, and probably never will in my lifetime, but I have no idea,
You want to know every street in the city?
not anymore.
so not everybody is.
I know how to fix that.
We have at least 3 people in here that are not part of a specific neighborhood association. So we'll have to figure out a way to make that happen. Maybe even printing a map with where everybody lives.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, would help. Yeah,
Privacy issues.
Huh?
believe me, everybody's email address is
All right.
on the website.
Get a job driving Uber, you'll know where all the streets are.
I do want to say,
Yeah.
I am absolutely pleased and happy with the amount of use that Clap Park is getting right now. The parking lot is full a lot of times.
A lot of it's construction equipment.
Some it is, they are coming and going, but there are a lot of people playing disc golf. There are a lot of people, Southside Spoke Bicycle Club is doing a weekly or bi-weekly ride to the park. I haven't seen anybody picnicking yet or anything, but there's just a lot of activity going on in the park, so it's really good to see.
The disc golfers are very, very happy.
Yeah, and honestly, those disc golfers are going to keep a lot of crime down. Having that activity in the park is very, very important. Just talked with the Park and Rec Director today. We're hoping that in the next 3 weeks, we will put out the RFQ, which is a request for qualification for the firm that will do the master plan engagement and actually do the master plan for Clap Park. That way we can make sure that we're getting the last bit of public feedback. We're going to take all the ideas from the public meetings that we had, which we had the steering committee that we put together. We went out and did 10, 11 meetings, something like that, got all the engagement to get 50 ideas, basically. 50 ideas, 50 plus ideas of what people would like to see in the park. More ideas may crop up, that's okay, but we want to have a way where we can take those ideas and really kind of whittle them down to the main ideas that people want to see. The thing to realize in a master plan is it's just that, a plan, okay? When they did the downtown master plan, it does not look exactly like the downtown master plan was laid out. A plan is just a guide, right? And sometimes those guides have to be flexible for the needs of the community. A really interesting thing, one thing that's not on or hasn't been talked about, of course, there's some playground equipment and stuff that we've talked about, but today talked with Troy Houtman about the possibility of a, oh gosh, Mandy, what was it?
An all abilities
All
playground.
abilities playground. So people of all abilities, whether you have cerebral palsy or you are, someone who can climb the tallest tower, everybody can use the equipment and come, and there isn't really one here in the city of Wichita. This would be $1 million project, so it'd be great to find some organizations we can partner with to do. So some of those ideas that are coming out of the woodwork now that we have the ability, a park with the ability to handle some of these projects, that might be something that's talked about at this master planning meeting. But, somebody told me the other day, and I wish I could take credit for this, but they said, you didn't close anything, you opened the park. So somebody came up to me and said, thank you so much for opening the park to everybody. I was shocked by that. I was like, well, you're welcome, because people are picketing with signs saying that I destroyed the park, or, and so.
No, you only destroyed the golf course.
Well, that's what they say. So, knowing that regular people are getting to use the park now, regular people are able to go and utilize this piece of property is really satisfying, and you're going to continue to see investment, tens of millions of dollars of investment over time being made in a park for the community in an area that traditionally does not get any investment. And so I'm pretty happy about that portion of this. Obviously very sad that we've lost our golf course down there, but I think ultimately it really is going to be a better situation. At least that's my hope. Yeah.
I wonder who is mowing.
Oh yeah. So the golf department right now, as far as I know, is continuing to maintain the greens and some of the specialty grasses. They're doing that because eventually, depending on what happens with the master planning process and if we're going to have any form of golf in there, maybe we have 3 putt and play holes. We don't know. 9 holes. We really don't know yet. I suspect that we will have some sort of golf, but it won't be extremely significant. But those greens could be used. And then once they utilize those greens for what we may or may not do at Clap, they could be used other places in the system. To really plant and get a green, it's, gosh, I forget how.
$10,000.
10,000 per green, or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So it's really important that we at least, that's an investment already, and so they're still maintaining that. The rest of the park should be mowed on a 14 to 21 day cycle, like all the other parks.
Now, when you walk through the golf course, you walk by a green, they may be maintaining it, but already different grass is shooting up in between.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So it looks like it's not being taken care of, like, what if you're gonna put it?
Well, so they're not cutting it down to make it playable.
No.
That takes a lot of work. That takes a lot of extra time. They're cutting it just to maintain and make sure that.
Somebody suggested over on our next association about now, put croquet wires up on the green so people can play croquet.
You know what? It's open to the public. I go do it. That'd be kind of fun. Let's have a croquet tournament out there. One of the other things that we're doing out at Clap Park is we are doing a movie night. So we're gonna tell everybody to bring lawn chairs, bring their picnic baskets and blankets, and come sit out under the stars and see a movie outside. So there is going to be some programming. We are trying to make that park very usable. Dave?
Well, now, James, is the golf association still involved in that park, or are they going to be out as far as any kind of control over that ground?
You mean the
golf?
The parking lot?
The golf group that runs the golf course.
That's the City of Wichita. That's the City of Wichita Enterprise Fund.
It's a golf advisory.
And there is a golf advisory board, but it is just advisory. The park board owns that property.
So I guess what I'm asking is the advisory board going to have any kind of control?
No, it's not a golf course anymore. It's been taken out of the golf system, and it is now being maintained in property.
So none of the expenses on Clap they're not bearing any of the burden of the.
No, the Parks Department, as I understand, the Parks Department is one that is. Now, is there some bleed over because of the experienced groundskeepers are keeping the greens mowed? I would assume so. That's not just a regular mow job, and it's not just regular equipment. Who's paying for that? That's a good question. I probably should find out for you. Yeah. Okay, yeah, Ron.
Well, ago you said that regular people can use it, so you're saying golfers are not regular people?
No.
Well, they are not regular.
I am not saying that. I'm saying. No. I think I need to clarify.
Well, no, we are mentally challenged.
No, what I'm saying is, golf, people that play golf have a skill set, right?
No.
People that don't play golf, regular people like me, we don't have that skill set, right? And so I can't, but honestly.
So Paul can't go there no more.
Actually, he can. I will tell you.
Yeah, I just have to play croquet and bring my own wickets.
The fairways are still out there. The fairways are still out there. And if you want to practice your wedge shot, or you want to, you can go out there and do that. We have people that do that in parks all over the city if there's space to do it. Go out and practice your wedge shot. Do whatever you want to do, as long as you're being safe.
As long as the course is closed.
Well, the course is.
When's the movie night?
The 27th of September, I believe. Yeah, so it'll be promoted. Actually, we talked about it.
You're gonna do Caddyshack?
That was a suggestion that we turned down. We're not gonna play Caddyshack, but, we did mention it a little bit in our newsletter today, and then in the next newsletter, there will be a lot more information about the movie night.
September 7th, you canceled that breakfast, so I didn't know whether everybody here.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you said that. So we did cancel our breakfast this month. It was gonna be great for breakfast. Pastor Wade Moore had a death in the family. The funeral is actually that morning at the church, and so he asked if we could postpone and cancel. But absolutely not a problem. We do it every month, and
I just
so
wanted everybody.
yeah, I appreciate you saying something wrong. But the district breakfast this Saturday is canceled.
I actually heard back from Evan, and he will be able to give the presentation at our December breakfast.
Oh, that's perfect.
And by then he said the topic is actually probably even more relevant, because in November, the design team will be assessing some plans that may or may not include tearing down or keeping Century 2.
Yeah.
And so he'll have some pretty fresh updates with that process to give us in December.
You know what I also think I want to do, speaking of things, the riverfront things going on downtown, I would love for everybody, if you'd like, to take a tour of Stadium Progress, the baseball stadium going up.
I tried to, but McLean's closed.
Believe it or not,
That's there too, huh?
believe it or not, that is an asset for this community. It's not necessarily, it is an asset for East and West Wichita, but they're way further away than we are here. And as I continue to talk with the new owner of the baseball team, he has assured me that he wants to include and be very inclusive to everybody, whether you like baseball or not. He wants to be inclusive in one way or another of our community in South and Southeast Wichita. Making things affordable, providing free things for people to do on that piece of property. So if you'd like to see progress, if you'd like to do a tour or something, I think we can set that up. Whether you're a baseball fan or not, do what?
October breakfast too.
Well, oh, and yeah, we will have at our October breakfast, the general manager, president of the baseball team, Jay Miller, will be speaking. So get your questions
For the church?
for him.
At the church?
At the church, at our district breakfast. You know, the baseball stadium is going to be a multi-use stadium. We continue to talk about this. It's not just for baseball. We have 365 days a year, and there's only going to be 70, I think around 75, 78 games. Okay? The owner of the team wants to do 200 events out there, whether that be a concert or 2 or 3. And believe it or not, so our Coliseum held about 10 or 11,000. Our new arena downtown, it's not so new anymore, but it can hold 15,500. And this stadium, when you take the seats and you take all the infield and outfield seating that can be put together, I think it was close to 17,000 people could see a concert outdoors. And so, and there are a lot of different price ranges, and they want to make, again, that affordable for people to go see. He would love to do things like probably an outdoor ice rink. He would probably like to do something outdoors, like an outdoor hockey game for people or two to come watch. We'd love to do, and we're working now on making high school football happen out there, high school baseball, obviously. You name it. If you have ideas
You
for
ever Woodstock is?
hey, maybe not quite that R rated, but you know, a Woodstock simulation would be fun. But you know, if you have ideas, he's open to ideas for things that would be meaningful for the community at the Ball Diamond. So this is going to be a multi-sport, multi-use facility, and so this is in your backyard. It's not in District 5's backyard. It's not in District 2's backyard. It is in your backyard. It's, you know, for me, believe it or not, for me, walkable. You know, it's close. It's a 5-10 minute drive for many of us, and so I want everybody to consider that an asset for our community here, because the owner really wants to be inclusive of everybody in the city. So I did want to mention that.
Well, you got any report on Nestor Park? Worried.
You know, I don't have a report on Navscore Park. I hear that it's coming along well. Some of the construction around it is being finished up. I haven't been in to see what's going on in there. They've saved, from my understanding, some of the mature trees. They're creating a lot more open space. It will be open to everybody. I know there was some concern. The reason why we were changing Navscore Park was to boot out, homeless people. That's not the case. Everybody is going to be welcome to use that park, but there were some safety features added in. I mean, it's just the fact that people didn't feel safe, and it wasn't because of homeless. It was just because it was gated in. Any sort of crime by anybody was happening in Navscore Park. And so the biggest issue was safety and people feeling the neighborhood around there. Believe it or not, there are thousands of people living downtown now, and the neighborhood around Navscore Park was concerned about safety. And the neighborhood, as a neighborhood park, they're pretty happy about
We're
the
supposed to have a walkthrough this coming month.
Really?
I drove by yesterday, I can't see anything for all the stuff around it.
Are they on schedule? It seems like it's taking a little bit longer than they projected.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to ask. I don't know. It's one of those, I have so many things, projects and things happening in District 3.
Have Maddie here.
You know what, Maddie?
She ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, Maddie can find out.
Another cool asset for our area is the pickleball court on South
I
Florida.
was just gonna say
I just
that.
had a bunch of friends invite me to go there, and I'm like, yeah, free. And one of the people even said, I don't always like what the city does, but this is amazing, and they're gorgeous. And
What is
there's
it about
lots of people
pickleball
there.
that people love?
It was fun.
But it is.
All kinds of people.
It is. It's easy. Well,
What is a
Also went up-
pickleball?
We just went up to that chicken and pickle way up north, which, it's very pricey, but, I don't know, there were 4 of us. We got out of there spending about $100 total. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then it was-
25 bucks a person to play pickleball.
Wasn't bad.
and drinks and a meal, I guess. I promise you, if you go to see a movie and pay $15 a ticket,
Oh, yeah.
you're getting up to that price. Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
Now that the TNR thing has been through all of the district advisory boards, when's that gonna go to the council?
Yeah, it's not going to the council.
Oh, okay, good.
It's not
The
what?
city council doesn't
Oh.
accept that ordinance in its current form.
So it's dead.
And so that current ordinance is dead. And we already kind of felt that way before our district advisory boards, but getting feedback that reinforced how we felt about it from district advisory boards. So the animal control advisory board is going to try, I believe, to take another stab at it. We'll see. We'll see. If there are feral cats and they're a nuisance to the community, it needs to be dealt with. How we deal with it is kind of the question. Returning them to an area that they're being a nuisance in, even though you alter them or whatever you do, you return them, you're still returning a nuisance.
Cats will self-return no matter what.
So, well, that's what I hear.
Take them cross-country, they'll come back.
It's really a complicated subject. You have many advocacy groups that are normally that like PETA are against TNR. But some of the TNR groups that are advocates for animals are for it. And so it's really interesting the mix of people that are for and against. It's a very complicated issue.
If we have 100,000 feral cats in the city, to me, you can't go down there once a month and do 100 cats, and that's what they do to them.
In 1,000 days, you'd have.
Well, yeah, but you need to go down there with 1,000 veterinarians and do 10,000 cats in one day to make it dent, because you're never gonna get ahead with doing 100, 200 cats a month.
So it's being done unofficially, but K-State comes down with them when we get in.
I know.
And they do as many as they can do, and they're coming down every month, I think,
Yeah,
or
that's the one.
something like that, yeah.
They're trying.
They're trying.
That's how you make a headway unless you
Yeah.
go in mass.
So you put ear tags on them so you can tell that they've been neutered?
Okay, guys, I don't want to take too much more of your time. Yeah.
Did, down here at OK Pawn Shop, I was thinking, maybe I'm wrong, but I was thinking that the district advisory board said no on the car lot.
That's right.
They're running a car lot out there.
Yeah, they sure are. Interesting thing, it did not come before the city council because there was not a sufficient, actually, there was no protest petition that was able to be filed. So the city council didn't get the legal authority to weigh in. The only time the city council gets to weigh in on a zoning issue is if the zoning petition is filed. It's one of the ways. Are there any other ways that I'm missing?
We considered it here.
Not
with-
that I
Yeah, so the community, so what happened is that there is an official notification area 200 feet
Right.
around. Nobody within 200 feet either was willing to start a petition or sign it, or was a business, and businesses are not entities that can sign. Wait, or was it? I'm mixing. Anyway.
There is nothing but businesses in a school.
You're exactly right.
I know.
Maybe it was a school I was thinking couldn't sign, but none of the businesses were willing to.
Because everything over on Market is over 200 feet.
MAPC, but
Well, yeah, MAPC, we heard the case of MAPC, but in this case, if there's no protest petition, the city council has no authority.
yeah, right.
And we tried, the neighborhood association
Yeah.
went to some around there, and we couldn't, the people against it were just a little bit different than that. We couldn't find anyone within that margin.
What I would have, even though it would not have been an official trigger for the city council, it would have been great to see even the residents around there show some sort of protest anyway, officially on a forum, but honestly, it would not have probably changed in this case, it may be MAPC's decision. And
Because we create these plans for neighborhoods and stuff.
they ignored,
But we keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, or maybe we don't expect different results. So
Well-
we just went from 72 car lots to 73 between Kellogg and 47th
Yeah.
Street.
I thought one of-
73 car lots.
I thought one of the members of the airport advisory board put it best, said, planning documents are cast in jello.
well, they really are. We're talking about the plan for downtown, the plan for the golf course, but this plan is a little bit different of a plan. A neighborhood plan is a planning document, an actual planning document that is a legal document. And MAPC ignored it. They just simply ignored the
Not
neighborhood.
all of the MAPC.
No.
Well, of course not.
Yes, but when the city council makes a decision,
We've
I don't get
noticed
to
that.
say, well, not all the city council. In the
Because you
paper,
buy new cars.
it says the city council made the decision. So, though there were some dissenting votes, two, I believe, Josh Blick and Cindy Miles.
While we're on the subject of car lots, do we still have a sign code in this city?
Well, I assume we do, yes.
Well, then let's go down to the southwest corner of Broadway and Mount Vernon and explain it to those people.
Okay,
Well, you have to have code enforcement to do that.
so let's talk.
Is that like tall grass and weeds?
Let's get J.R. Cox down there and have a meeting and take a look at what you.
Well, while he's at it, stop by our old place.
You know what, let's make a day of it, Paul. I don't
Let's
care.
do, road trip.
Let's make a day. Okay, any other questions? Anybody from the public have any questions? Anything I can answer? Okay, anything going on in your neighborhoods that you want to
I can
highlight?
send the fire department, health department.
Michael?
Being out South Central had the bus service, bring people up to your activity. I talked to Michael Pan, and I asked him, I said, is that available to any neighborhood association? He said, yes. If you make a request, this is what I got for you. You can have a bus come out and pick people up in your neighborhood and bring them to your meeting. I won't do it every month. It might be something special that you're doing.
Sure.
But
We're special.
you could maybe get more people to your neighborhood association meetings if they do. They can get picked up at their door or on a corner, and they're gonna be brought back. So-
Or maybe district advisory board meetings.
Should we have one for a budget hearing?
Yeah, just a thought.
All right. Yes, sir.
At the Southwest Neighborhood Association last week. One of the people brought up lack of sidewalks around Enterprise.
Yeah.
And South Line.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Becky Fields was there. And she talked about a little bit about the cost. I was like, it was still a concern because the kids are walking out the street.
So there is something that can be looked into, and Maddie, this is another thing for our plate. Is there's a program called, oh, now it slipped my mind, Safe Ways for Kids or something like that.
School safety.
They can provide walking paths and stuff in schools. We can look into that, but I don't even know if that is still available, but we can have engineering look at it. We can have it. I thought Becky was going to do that, but I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of talk to her and see what she's done on it and see if we can get engineering kind of down and look at what's going on in school that's out.
Enterprise.
If there's really no funding anywhere, then what happens is that sidewalks are put in, but then they're assessed to the property owners, just like a regular street would be. Yeah, so.
One thing you might mention is South High walks in the middle of the street from 33rd Street up to Brook Trip, 4 pi to wide. We've got a sidewalk right there on 33rd Street.
And they don't use it.
They don't
Right.
use it.
Yeah,
It's not wide enough.
And it's not, and it doesn't inconvenience enough people.
it's wide. It's wide.
It's 36, I think.
Okay,
But James, I asked Maddie to put you down for October to be our guest speaker.
I will be there. And we're also, guys, we're planning a ribbon cutting for the new Fabric Park over the Fabric Neighborhood Association. They use their Hyatt funds to put that in, and it's looking pretty good. Pretty excited about the park. So we're gonna do a ribbon cutting in October. But I don't know if you've been notified yet. Okay.
I have some high funds, I got some stuff I need to do.
I know you do.
They're all gone.
There's one more thing that I need to mention. And I wasn't gonna bring this up, but through the campaigning going on right now in the city of Wichita, it has been said that the city of Wichita, when we are in our executive sessions, we just kind of talk about anything and all sorts of subjects, and don't have our attorney in the room and since that's a pretty egregious violation if we were to do that, I wanted to bring up here at the District Advisory Board and let you know that when we go into executive session, our attorney has a slate of things that we're supposed to talk about. And our scope of discussion is very narrow on those topics. If we get done early before we say we're going to come back, sometimes we'll sit in there and talk about vacation, what somebody did one week, and that's all okay to talk about, okay? But anything that considers any type of policy or official decision-making or anything like that, we can't talk about. And our attorney is very, very good to make sure that if we are starting to stray, guys, that's off top, you can't talk about that. Oh, thank you. We all pretty much already know those topics, and we stay away from them. But guys, we're not making backroom deals.
Is that Sharon Dickrath at your meetings?
No.
Okay.
No, we are not sitting in there in those executive sessions making decisions so the public can't, a lot of times it has to do with eminent domain cases. Sometimes it has to do with lawsuits against the city. Sometimes it has to do with the proprietary information of a business who's asking for something from the city. There are a lot of, even that scope is really narrow of what we can talk about. So I just wanted to assure everybody, the last 8 years on the city council, not once have we made any sort of official decisions other than what we were supposed to do in executive session. So I'm not going to say where all this has come from exactly, just wanted to reiterate to the public and to you guys that we do have an attorney in the room. She's a big stickler to make sure that we stay on point, and that we are treating the time with respect and dignity and how it's supposed to be used.
I will confirm that, just like on the airport board, when we make the motion to go to executive session, we have to say what we're going to discuss, when we're going to come out of it, no later than,
Yeah.
and definitely have the city staff attorney assigned to the airport board
Kansas Open Meetings.
every minute that we're in there.
Yeah, no, Kansas Open Meetings and Kansas Open Records Acts
Yeah.
both dictate rules for executive sessions. If we were to be in violation of those, it would be absolute bad news.
To the best of my recollection, we have never done anything other than consider contracts in executive session.
Just you can't do it.
And by the way, it's amazing how much time it takes to finish the demolition of the old terminal once the stuff above ground is done.
I know.
It's amazing.
We want it done.
Hey, if Kansas Star sues Sedgwick County and the state, where does Wichita fall in that lawsuit?
Nowhere,
Not getting involved.
nowhere.
Yeah, it's done anyway.
Yeah, county
I
people,
didn't follow what happened today.
no, the county tabled it or whatever you want to call it.
County should have never
Yeah.
They ran away.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
I just wondered where we would fall into that.
We wouldn't.
Well, they've got some.
That's what the county's afraid of, and I don't blame them.
We would get sued, the city would get sued hand over foot because they want to make that money down there. And you know for a fact that you don't have to drive 14 miles down there and you only have to go downtown. There's going to be half their people working up here gambling.
And where are we at with our illegal machines running around town?
Well, if they,
Seem to keep multiplying.
there have been some stings in the past 2 or 3 years.
Mhm.
So a couple months ago.
They're continuing to follow up on leads. They do undercover assignments to gather evidence, and it's not a quick process, but it happens when people turn stuff in. It happens, and they sting them and they confiscate the stuff.
Thank you to you and Maddie for right out and your teams and to the others. Really appreciate it. And we also
It's our
appreciate
pleasure.
that to our homeowner association, our neighborhood association, that you took care of 2 issues within a couple of days.
I know.
And we've been working on this for a while. We appreciate that.
Doesn't take much to entertain.
Absolutely. Honestly, that's really what we want. Maddie especially, that's really what the city wants. We want to be able to handle those issues. I guarantee you, council members and staff, city manager, everybody gets very frustrated when we run into roadblocks for helping people and fixing. Most people start work for the city in some capacity because they want to help, they want to make things better, it's more than a job. They're not, believe it or not, most the people in the state aren't getting paid the best, and they can get paid a lot more other places. And so most of the people are really in it to really improve the city. And everybody gets frustrated when we have budget constraints, when we have things that we can't accomplish that we want to for people. We get frustrated. So it's nice when we can. It's nice when we can do it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Michael.
Just apologize for my stupidity, but it seems to me like 4 or 5 years ago, the city was moaning and groaning they didn't have any money for anything. And then all of a sudden, all these streets are getting fixed and everything's being fixed. Where did the money come from? I'm bad.
First of all, when I started on the city council, we were spending anywhere between $4 and $6 million a year, 8 years ago, on road maintenance. We're up to almost $10 million a year now. We started slowly increasing that because we saw that we needed to. We couldn't defer maintenance any longer. And then when the Hyatt sold, we infused another $10 million on top of what we already were budgeting into neighborhood streets. And so you're seeing the product of.
I remember the Hyatt.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, all of a sudden, I'm glad.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, again, when people complain to me about cones, it kind of falls on deaf ears, unless the cones are put in the wrong place, right? But when I started, people were like, "You don't invest any money in our streets. You don't." And so We
The
changed
value of taxable
We changed
property
that.
has increased a lot since 2008.
Yeah.
that.
And without the mill levy increasing, that makes a lot more tax money
Jackson
come in.
County's been
Steadily coming back. It's not back to where it was,
No.
but it's steadily coming back. Yeah.
money's there.
I make a motion to adjourn.
But you did that before.
We have a motion in a second.
Oh, somebody seconded it?
Yeah,
Well, I guess we're adjourned then.
I didn't call for a vote. So,
There ain't gonna be anybody here to vote.
real quick, 30 seconds or less. We will be, as the sales tax for Kellogg starts to pay off Kellogg, and we've already started to do that, you will see some of that sales tax money also shift to our streets.
Right, other than Kellogg.
That is the county sales tax that was passed in 1985. That will start to be shifted to road maintenance and rebuilds in the city. So over the next, every year by year, we're gonna continue to retire debt. And so that's gonna be amazing for the amount of money we can use in our streets.
I've always wanted to do this. Call for the question.
All right, all those in favor say aye.